Good afternoon, guys. Pnawn da. It is now 4 o'clock, so we will make a start. Just for you to be aware, we are recording this afternoon's Q&A and handover session so that we can upload this recording to the Google Classroom for any pupils or parents who were unable to join us live this afternoon. So thank you for taking some time out your diaries the week before transition week. We are, as we build up to next Monday, receiving more questions and queries around next week. So we thought there was an important opportunity to share some key updates and some key information, and then hopefully answer some questions that you may have. As I said, the session is being recorded, so if you prefer for your cameras to be off, that's fine as well. But we will share some key contacts at the end of the presentation. So if you prefer not to answer it, ask any questions in a live platform, you can contact us via the email addresses or phone the school tomorrow or the remaining days this week or into next week. That's fine as well. So as I said, Pnawn da, good afternoon. I'm Mr. Johnson. I'm the Deputy Head Teacher at Healthy. Mrs. Brinkworth, one of our progress or pastoral leaders, head of Year 7, is joining us, but also Mr. Evans, the progress leader across Key Stage 3, will join us for this afternoon session as well. Mrs. Brinkworth, can you hear my sound? Is everything okay with the sound quality?
Yeah, it's all good. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. We're just going to cover a few kind of key updates regarding next week, but also some updates in terms of September start as well. So we'll discuss the welcome to Healthy and how will that work next week, uniform next week and September, the catering arrangements for next week, the transport arrangements, the key dates and uniform and so on for September 21, some of the safety measures linked to some of the kind of COVID restrictions and requirements that are still in place currently, and then the key contacts, people you can be in contact with at Healthy. There is also a chat function available within this platform, so if I am talking and you'd like to raise any questions, Mrs. Brinkworth or Mr. Evans can pick them up in the chat function, and please pause. We can pause at any time, or you can ask the questions at the end, or as I said previously, you can contact us at the school. So we're really looking forward to welcoming pupils to Healthy next week. So that is happening Monday morning, Monday the 12th, and it will last for the 5 days. The senior staff, the tutor team, the pastoral leader, Mrs. Brinkworth, will be on reception at the bus bay and at the bottom car park as the pupils arrive. And then we'll be distributing them into the teaching lines. There will be a morning session with a tutor team. So we'll have around an hour and a half with the tutors in that first morning. There'll be a virtual welcome assembly from the head teacher, which will be streamed in each of those classrooms and do an introductory session. We have worked on the friendship matrices from the Year 6 teacher, so every single pupil will have someone within their tutor group that they're familiar with and part of their kind of friendship bubble as such. And we'll also link every tutor group with a sixth form buddy, which will show them between their lessons at their break times and around that building. So they'll have a chaperone from their first lesson to their last lesson, every lesson of the day for those first 5 days. The start time next week is 8:30 a.m. and the end time is 2:10. So they're the start and end times for those 5 days. But just for you to be aware, in September, there's a slightly different structure to the day because of some of the COVID requirements. We had to make some refinements this academic year. The school day starts at 8:30 in September, but ends at 2:40. So there is a slight extension to the day back to our traditional times, kind of pre-COVID. And we follow a 2-week timetable. So there's 25 lessons in week 1 and 25 lessons in week 2. And pupils will receive their timetable so they know what lessons they have PE, what lessons they have specific subjects, so they know what stationery and equipment to bring in on each day of school. During the transition week, pupils will attend school in their current Year 6 uniform. So whatever they wear currently to their Year 6 primary setting, they can still maintain wearing that clothing for this week. We are aware that young people grow rapidly, and we don't want you to purchase uniform just for this week and then they grow over the summer period and there needs to be replacements for the September. So whatever the pupils wear to primary school for these 5 days will allow the pupils to wear that uniform for that period of time. But from September, then the pupils will need to arrive in their formal Healthy uniform. And this is something we have really high standards in Healthy, something that we're very proud of, how well the pupils present and how smart they look. So on the slide now is a visual image of the uniforms for September, but we don't allow any trainers. Okay, so it has to be shoes. There's no jewelry or no kind of extreme haircuts either. And unfortunately, if pupils do arrive in the incorrect uniform, we'll either have a loaning scheme or request parents to collect, so that they arrive then the next day in the correct uniform. So it's really, really important that the pupils in September are prepared in the correct uniform. And on the next slide then, there's a visual representation of the PE kit as well. So this is what pupils wear for their PE lessons, the male and female version. In the winter period, then the boys wear trousers as well. So, that's really, really important that the pupils, arrive at school ready for their lessons. In terms of transport, currently the local authority won't allow the pupils to access their transport arrangements that will be available in September if they are entitled to Caerphilly transport. So we have arranged private hire. So we've booked a minibus for the Aberbargos route, which will collect from the Aberbargo community, which is the bus stop opposite the primary school at 8:15. And they will return to that bus stop at 2:20, the 10-minute journey from school to Aberbargo. The Dairy bus stop will be a collection just below Dairy Primary School, just so it's not on the steep hill, just below it at 8:15. And that bus will get back to Dairy around 2:35. A slightly longer journey. We'll hold the pupils back for that bus for 5 minutes at the end of the day as well. So we have had around 35 requests for transport. We've all booked that onto the system, and you will receive an email confirmation if you've requested transport. You will only be entitled to transport if you live within a certain postcode, and you are normally entitled. So, but we have booked transport for the Dairy bus, the Aberbargo bus, and also there is a private hire Brifter taxi for the pupils in the Brifter community, because there's a smaller number entitled to transport from that area as well. So all of the transport's been organised, and that is for the 5 days next week. And again, if there are any difficulties with transport or any difficulties in that, please phone school. Our receptionist is ready to answer any questions and has got all of the information ready in preparation for next week. Both buses are Bradford's. The signage will be there, and the pupils will be welcomed out of those buses. And as they arrive off the bus, myself, I'll be on the busway to welcome them into Healthy. Very important, Mr. Evans and I will agree on this, because we love our school dinners at Healthy. They're fantastic. But next week, we would request that pupils arrive with a packed lunch, because we do have reduced catering facilities due to some of the restrictions currently. But if the pupils are entitled to free school meals, we will provide a packed lunch for any pupils that are entitled to free school meals. So please, if you could attend with a packed lunch. If not, we will provide the free school meal pupils with an appropriate lunch for those days. And I did see in the chat there was a question around face masks, I think, Mrs. Brinkworth. And from next week, guys, I'm sure you are already kind of familiar with lots of the health and safety requirements in schools. So we have a one-way system, okay, at Healthy, and you'll have a tour of the school on your first day as well with one of the senior members of staff. There's hand washing facilities and sanitizer as you enter each room. There's a one-way system. All the desks are front facing. There's a 2-meter distance in between pupils and the teacher at the front of the room. So all of those things are in place. But one of the significant differences between primary and secondary is wearing a mask, unless of course you're exempt, and we've got special kind of dispensation or requirements if you're exempt. But when you arrive on that morning, we do have purchased additional reusable Welsh Government masks for all pupils when they arrive on Monday morning as well. So there will be expectations, unless you are exempt for any reason, for pupils to wear masks when they're indoors in lessons. When they're out then on their break times or in PE lessons, the masks do not need to be worn. We're thinking over the summer period, the likelihood the operational guidance will change for Wales, because we saw on the news a couple of nights ago that it has been updated for England. So we are hopeful that come September that the mask wearing in Welsh education in secondary schools will be removed, but we will update you accordingly as soon as we are aware as a school. Coming towards the end of my presentation notes as well, I just wanted to update parents and guardians. The official term starts on Tuesday the 2nd. But as a school, we're using a couple of inset days there. So the first day for pupils to attend school with us in September is Monday, the 6th of September. Okay, so staff are in a couple of days before that. And there is a bank holiday which has been moved. So the staff are in on the Friday. pupils, their first day is Monday the 6th of September, and the school calendar will be published on the school website. So if you want to update the inset days, but pupils will also receive a planner in September with all of the term dates and inset dates printed, so you're fully aware of the days in which they need to attend school and which days are holidays, for example. Moving on, as I introduced at the start of the presentation, so I've got a photograph there of Mrs. Brinkworth, who will be a key pastoral link at Healthy. Okay, she's really, really excited to working with you as a year group and so your form tutor. So Mrs. Brinkworth's personal Healthy email address is available, but also Mr. Evans, who's heavily involved with transition and has been working on some of the quizzes and welcoming activities throughout that kind of transition period this year, is Mr. Evans, who's our progress leader across Key Stage 3, which are years 7, 8, and 9. So there's Mr. Evans' email, but also then the direct phone number, which puts you straight through to reception. We've also added on this presentation, if any of you guys use social media, the Facebook name, which is Healthy Comprehensive School, but also the Twitter handle, which we give many of our key updates via social media for parents and guardians as well. So we would request that you follow those social media platforms if you use them, or if not, there are then the direct contacts. Also, we've developed a new system in school, which is called InTouch, which means nearly all communication will happen via the email address in which you completed the admissions application. So if you have letters sent home, school reports, any information where there's a detailed letter or commentary, you will receive that via email, and we do it because it's more cost effective, it's efficient, and it's easy for parents to communicate back and forth. But we also have a different app system called Class Charts, which some of our primaries use, so many of you will be familiar, and which logs the behaviour point system, positive and or negative, so parents and pupils get regular updates around behaviour and submission of work and quality of work. We will not be able to release your usernames and passwords for Class Charts until September, because officially the pupils don't join our enrolment on our SIMS and the local authority systems until September the 2nd. But once the pupils receive their planners, all of the passwords and usernames and so on will be printed internally within those planner systems. Okay, so we hopefully all parents and guardians use our Class Charts information as well. I'm just going to skip these few slides because they were just put in as extra information. Just to say how pleased we've been at how well the transition plans have gone this year. So the pupils have had 3 different transition projects that have lasted 5 lessons each. One was based around French, one was based on humanities, and one for science. We've also had some enhanced transition for pupils with any additional needs in terms of our ALN department. We've had a live Q&A in October with parents and guardians, and Mrs. Davis, the head teacher, has been streaming directly into the Year 6 classrooms to do a question and answer session with the pupils. We would have thoroughly liked welcome you physically into the building, but unfortunately some of the requirements haven't allowed that to take place this year. We have our largest cohort joining Healthy from that Year 7, and the largest has been for 10 or 11 years. So we'll have currently 146 pupils that have completed applications to join us. So it is a large cohort, 6 teaching lines, which we're really, really excited about. But we think the virtual transition networks and programs have been really successful, and under the circumstances, we're really looking forward to next week. We will have a fantastic week, and then all pupils can enjoy the summer period and relax, knowing that they know Healthy, they know the routines, they know how the system works in preparation for Monday, the 6th of September. Well, a final last note that in your emails, we've sent this twice during the academic year, but is also available in the Google Classroom, is the prospectus, which has been updated again in May. And in there, it gives you all of the key term dates, key staff, the uniform images. So if you do have any questions over the summer period when school is closed, I would suggest using the prospectus, which has lots of detailed information that hopefully will answer, any specific questions you have during that time. And finally, to kind of open the forum, really, or Mr. Evans or Mrs. Brinkworth, if you've got anything to add, or open it to parents, you're welcome to use the chat function, or please, unmute your microphone and ask any questions, or if you prefer not to ask them publicly, you've got our email addresses or school phone number, and we'll do the best to get back to you in the next kind of day or two in preparation for Monday morning. Any questions, guys? Please use the chat. Please unmute, or if not, we can happily take emails and phone calls.
Hello.
Hi.
We were wondering about face masks.
Yes.
Will they have to wear face masks for next week's transition week?
Yes, in lessons, unless they're exempt. So next week, yes, we've got them purchased. We have them on site ready for pupils' arrival on Monday morning.
Okay. So you don't need
Okay,
to-
that's brilliant. Thank you.
No problem at all. Any other questions, guys? Very good question there. I think it just popped up on the chat. Do we have to socially distance? No, pupils will form their new bubble. Okay, so your class will be a new bubble from Monday. So the pupils are a bubble, which the pupils don't have to maintain a social distance, but between the teacher, member, staff and that class bubble, each classroom has a designated zone for the teachers, and then the pupils then work outside of that zone in the pupil work area. And each of the classrooms have been set up in that way. So as you move, for example, from maths to English or from English to science, you'll be chaperoned by a member of the sixth form, which will show you from class to class, and the teachers will help as well. But no, the pupils are within a bubble where there doesn't need to be a social distance, but between the teachers and staff, the social distancing measures do apply in that scenario. Okay. Any other questions?
So there was one. When do we find out what tutor group we're in? But that's on arrival on Monday morning. Is that right?
Yes. So Mrs. Brinkworth and I have been working through some detailed information. So we've met each of your Year 6 teachers. We've met your Year 6 head teacher, and they have published what we call a friendship matrix. So every single pupil is mapped out across this matrix in terms of your current primary school, and your Year 6 teachers have identified a friend or a group of friends which they would prefer for you to be linked with in terms of your tutor group and your teaching line. So we have made sure every single pupil, unless you've come from a primary and you're the only one person, so we do have a few pupils who from outside of our cluster is a single pupil from a single school, but unless you fall into that scenario, we have made sure every single pupil is a part of a group of the friendship matrix from their Year 6 classes. As you arrive, the head teacher, myself, Mrs. Brinkworth, Mr. Evans will be there to support you. Your form tutors will be there. We'll line you up in those groups, and you'll have around an hour and a half to 2 hours in that first morning for some getting to know you activities, the virtual assembly, and then for the remaining 3 or 4 hours of the day, you will follow your timetable and get used to the routines of those lessons. I just seen another question. Is the meeting point at the bottom of the bus stop? I will be there at the bottom of the bus stop. So the bus bay, that is my duty. I'm there from about 8:05 in the mornings, but I will then instruct you to walk up past the bus stop to what we call our mugger area, where Mrs. Brinkworth and Mrs. Davis and your tutor team will be present. If the forecast is dreadful and it's a very wet morning, which sunny Wales sometimes happen, we will do that meet and greet in our main hall, which is just off the car park. But there will be staff stationed at all of the main entrances, ready from between 8 and 8:10 to then direct you to the correct location. So there'll be plenty of staff on duty, so please don't worry, we will get you where you need to be. Any other questions? Some fantastic questions, guys. Have I missed any, Miss or Sir? Have I missed any questions?
I answered one about will we be with our tutor group all day. I said you'll be with your tutor group for your tutor for first lesson, and then on to timetabled lessons. But your tutor group is your class.
Yes, so your tutor group is your teaching line, and you will stay with that group for your timetable lessons. There are opportunities to change classes where there are some data and assessments, but that generally doesn't happen in Year 7 until the spring or summer term. But we will reflect on that as your time progresses, and nearly all pupils will remain in that class for the whole of year 7.
And what time on Monday should they arrive?
Anything from 5 past 10 past 8 onwards, but we'd prefer no later than 8:30. So if you're coming on the bus, you will arrive at school around 25 past 8, and there's around 40 pupils on the 2 buses and the taxi. But anything between 5 past 10 past 8 up until 8:30, we'll have staff ready to meet and greet you.
Do you want me to answer that one?
Yes, please, Mr. Evans.
Yeah, so there's a question there about swimming with PE. Hopefully next year we will be able to do some swimming in PE lessons. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to do that this year. But for the boys, we'll be swimming from Christmas until February. But I'll speak to you a little bit more about that next week when you come into us. But hopefully we will be swimming next year. It won't be happening next week, but when you arrive with us in September, we're hopeful we get back in the swimming pool then.
I think we've lost Mr. Johnson now, sir.
No, I'm back. Sorry, someone just knocked my door.
Okay.
Any other questions, guys?
Somebody said, is there any water stations? I've said yes, there's water stations to fill up your water bottles. Do it in break times.
Yeah, there's 3 water stations. No, I think that there's 4 now in total. So the different blocks are at different points around the school. So we encourage pupils to bring in, you know, a refillable, reusable water bottle as part of your kind of packed lunch, and then you can use them throughout the day.
Will we have our own locker? We don't have lockers facilities in PLD, no, sorry.
So you need to pack your bags the night before. Some of your books will stay in school. So certain departments, your resources stay in school. Some resources go home to support with homework. But we request that you pack your bags and look after your own belongings. And we have 2 breaks. So next week, you'll have an AM and a PM break that are 20 minutes each. But from September, there's a slight adjustment to the breaks. The AM break will be 20 minutes. And the lunch break, the afternoon break, is slightly longer, and that will be 30 minutes. Perfect. If there are any other questions, guys, you have our email contacts. You also have the phone number. Please don't hesitate to give us a call. And we'll do our best to answer over the next 2 days. We are going to download this recording, and I am going to share the recording also with the Year 6 teachers and ask them to play this recording in their lessons in the primary schools on Thursday and Friday this week. But also we'll upload the recording to the Google Classroom. So if anyone missed us live, they can join and watch it back at their own leisure in preparation for Monday as well.
So there's a question here about the equipment, pens and pencils. The pupils are expected to have the basic equipment with them, and they.
Yes, please, guys. So just a basic stationery, your pen, pencil, ruler. We're not expecting, you know, anything more than that, but a basic stationery equipment to help with your written work in your lessons. Is if there is an emergency, we do have some we can loan. But yes, a basic kind of stationery equipment for next week would be great. Any other questions?
What time is finish on transition week, sir?
So the school day currently ends at 2:10. But if you're catching the bus home, you may get home, you know, 2:20, 2:30. But the school day ends at 2:10. That's the end of lesson 5. And then in September, the end of lesson 5 is slightly different. It's 2:40. Okay, so next week, the end of the day is 2:10. From September, the end of the day is 2:40. Will we be doing art? I've just seen that one pop up. It depends on your timetable lesson. So if you have a timetabled lesson for next week, which is your art lesson, you'll have the opportunity. But because we have a 2-week timetable, you will have a week's worth of those lessons next week. And it may be that all of your art lessons fall in week 2, for example. And if that's the case, you may not try that lesson until that week. So you'll get a flavour of nearly all of your subjects, but you're unlikely to have every subject in that 1 week because we run a 2-week timetable.
Kian Hurley has asked, he lives in Bristol, is it okay for his mother to fetch him transition week instead of the taxi?
Yes, so we've only provided transport for the families who've requested it next week. So if you haven't requested it and you're making your own way, that's fine. We think out of 146 pupils, there's 38 that are entitled to transport from September, and I think 35 or 36 of those pupils we've organised transport because parents have requested it. So if you haven't requested it, that's fine. You're welcome to organise your own transport for next week, and that applies to September as well. Even if you're entitled to transport next year, but you prefer not to use it, that is at parents' own discretion.
And so they should be dropped off down the bus bay as well, shouldn't they? Not up at the car park.
Yeah, so that just for health and safety reasons and pupils entering the building, we request parents to drop off and pick up point for their own vehicles. There's quite a large, long kind of area opposite the 3G, the sports ground. There is a subway, which is an undercover walkway, so pupils don't have to cross the main road for again, safety reasons. So we request if pupils can be dropped off there. There'll always be a member of staff on duty, either myself in the morning or Mr. Davis, the assistant head, at the end of the day, just to keep everyone as safe as we can leaving and entering school. Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity and coming to meet us this afternoon, and we're really looking forward to next week. If there's anything else we can do, as I said, please let us know. Give us a call. If not, we'll look forward to seeing you bright and early Monday morning. Fab.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Mr.
Bye.
Evans. Thanks, Mr. Brinkworth. Thanks for your time.
Try, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.